Braking system fault is very common problem in Renault. When you see the braking system fault error message, it's recommended to stop driving until you understand what the problem is. Now, the most common reasons are the low fluid level. Even when you see that the brake fluid level is over minimum, you should still add it to reach the maximum line on the tank, because a lot of Renault cars will still show this braking system fault error message when the level of the fluid is not below the minimum but close to the minimum. So add the fluid first of all. Then the second reason is the brake pad sensor. So one of the brake pads may be too thin, and if your car is quite new, it may have the thickness sensors that will tell the brain of your car, the ECU, that the thickness of the pad is not enough for efficient braking. And in this case, you can also see this braking system fault, braking system error message on your screen. Then the reason number 3 is the EPB problem. EPB is electronic parking brake. So if you have the electronic parking brake in your Renault car, you should check if it works. Now, if it doesn't engage, that's not a problem at all. You may keep driving, but if it doesn't disengage, you will not be able to drive. And if you try driving, you will destroy the rear brakes of your car. So the problem may be with any component of this EPB system. It's fully electronic, so there is no wire connection between the EPB button and the actual brakes. When you apply the EPB button, the special motor applies the brakes, the rear brakes of your car. So this motor can be faulty, the EPB button can be faulty, the wiring can be faulty, whatever other things can actually trigger this problem. I have a big article on my blog telling you about the braking system fault in Renault, and I leave the link in the description and you can consider reading it. So the fourth possible problem is the voltage problem, and it's very common for Renault cars. When you have the low battery or the alternator is not working properly, it's very common for a Renault car to show some random error message, and one of the messages may be about the brakes, so the problem with your brakes. And when you have such random error messages, it's very recommended to check the 12-volt battery if it's still alive. You can do it on your own using the multimeter. There are a lot of instructions on the internet, so I will not stop here. But check all the voltage problems. You will need to check the battery, the alternator, and also the ground connection in your vehicle. So the reason number 5, it's probably the brake switch or brake light bulb. I had a situation when the Renault displayed this error message when the light bulb was not working, the rear brake light bulb. So just check, when you press the brake pedal, do you actually see those lights going on? If you don't, one of the light bulbs may be off, or maybe the brake switch is not working properly and it's not telling the brain of your car that you are pressing the brake pedal. And the last reason is the ECU glitch. So if some electronic control module glitches in your Renault car, it may throw random messages, and one of them is actually the brake problem message, and you can reset all these problems by just disconnecting the battery for 5 or 7 minutes. This is going to work in actually all Renault vehicles, and in 5 or 7 minutes these electronic control modules will reset. They will lose some of their memory, but you will also not have this problem if the initial reason is actually the glitch of the ECU. And if nothing helps you, you may actually need to go to the dealership or to the independent repair shop and check your Renault vehicle with the help of the professional OBD2 scanner and to see the codes that a lot of electronic control modules in your car can store. So before you keep driving, when you see this error message, before you keep driving, you should check the level of the brake fluid. This is very important. Also, if it's possible, look at the thickness of the brake pads, especially in new cars. This can be the reason of the problem, and you actually can drive. It's safe to drive, but you have to be careful because the pads may not be thick enough for driving another month, for example. Then you can also check the EPB, because if the EPB is faulty and it doesn't disengage the parking brake, you shouldn't drive. The only way to deliver your car to the dealership is to call a tow truck. And you also should check the lights, the brake lights. And the last thing, press on the brake pedal and understand if the stiffness of the brake pedal has changed. If it hasn't changed and all of the things that I told you above are working properly, you can drive carefully. Be careful, but you can drive. If something is wrong with the brakes, don't drive, better call a tow truck, better pay some money, but be safe.